is elevated as someone above members of parliament to a certain extent, although we all know that, the Speaker is not supposed to be a member of the House. MPs are the people who take their decisions. But I think that the reason why a certain authority is given to anyone who sits in the seat, that to the extent that you want to consider him again as a member by virtue of the fact that it fits a certain narrative and a certain interest, for me it's a bit interesting. Just to draw the linkage with another recent example. When the finance minister was in parliament to deliver the budget, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia was absent from the House, which is not what has happened over the last...
Because at the time he was acting as president.
Because at the time he was acting as president. So the government interpreted the absence of the president and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia acting as president to mean that the finance minister cannot be delivering his budget and he will be sitting in the House watching the finance minister. So then there's a certain interpretation there that when you are acting in a certain capacity, you are elevated to a certain level higher than where you existed at first. So that was the principle that was set then. And then this time around, the principle is different. When the speaker gets elevated to, when the first deputy speaker gets elevated to the position of the speaker, he's still seen as a common man because then one way or the other, you could say it serves a certain interest.
Yes. So let's move on. For want of time, Opoku Gakpo, let's move on to my earlier question. And we're talking about, Honorable Banda said, a hung parliament where we have 137, 137. Now, if, let's say, the NDC had decided to be in parliament, what would have happened?
So, again, it's very clear in the standing orders that when it comes to voting in the House, when a vote is equal in terms of whatever the results are, the vote is considered to have failed. So if, let's say, the NDC MPs had remained in the House, gone through the process, we had seen 137 MPs vote for the rescission, another 137 MPs vote against the rescission, then it would have been a tie and the vote would have been considered to have failed. And in that particular instance, the standing orders of the Constitution are very clear that whoever is presiding does not have an original nor a casting vote. A casting vote is where you are then allowed to break a tie when there is a tie of a sort. The speaker wouldn't have had that, and so then the vote for rescission would have failed. So then, to answer your question directly, I was really surprised that the NDC MPs then decided that in their way to then try to push what they wanted all along in terms of getting amendments to the budget, they decided to rather not participate in the processes instead of staying in the House and ensuring that the votes favored. I was really shocked.
Okay, so Honorable Benabella Banda, their response the NDC gave, is the fact that if they had been, in the chamber, they would have added to the numbers, which of course would have formed a quorum some more,